quick background on myself. My name is Sean Tabrizi. I'm one of the lead developers working on Polkadot and Substrate. My background, I actually originally came working for Microsoft. I was doing identity and authentication. It was during my time at Microsoft where I learned about Ethereum. I started playing with smart contracts, learning about the space, and I think I became really bullish on what blockchain could mean for our future. So I quit my job at Microsoft, flew to Berlin, and I started working on Substrate and Polkadot, and I've been there for about 3 years now. What I want to do is I want to take a look at the past and see what it can tell us about the future. You know, the trends that may imply how this ever-changing landscape, which is continually changing right now, will continue to change and evolve. Can you help me? Okay, here we go. So if we look back at 2013, the first billion-dollar chain or billion-dollar coin is Bitcoin, right? But if you look only just 4 years later, we see that there's actually over 24 different coins, all with a billion-dollar cap. And now we look at the 4 years today, we have over 100 different coins. I think the trend we are seeing, against what some of the things that were said on the stage right before, is that there will be more and more blockchains, and in the future we'll have many, many blockchains. And not only should we expect it to come from, again, trends that we see, but we should encourage it. Because I believe that the many communities and many different problems that we see in our world can be solved by the fundamental truths and technologies that blockchains provide. So ultimately, we know that blockchains, I'm sorry about the being cut off here, but we know that blockchains will exist in the world because problems that would require trust can be solved with blockchains. Blockchains themselves are public, they're distributed, decentralized, and independently verifiable. And with this technology, you're able to take different problems which would otherwise require trust and turn them into truth. And I'm not talking just about currencies here. If you look through your life, think about all the different pieces of interactions you have in your life which require some form of trust. When you go to the DMV, when you go to the bank, that's the currency thing. When you go interact with individuals, when you sell your house, all of these things at some point require some amount of trust. And the idea is that blockchains can provide the technologies which turn it into truth, which you can verify yourself. Oh, here we go. So the question is then, why will there be so many blockchains in the future? Well, I think blockchains are much like tools. If you go to any workshop, there isn't just one tool to do everything. Of course, maybe you could have a hammer and try to figure out your way to do everything. But there are separate individual tools, all with independent functionalities to try to do some task the best. And it's through these individual tools, through the specialization of these tools, that we're able to be more efficient. And so specialization ultimately leads to optimization. When we have different chains, each of these chains are trying to accomplish different tasks. They're trying to move forward a different mission. And it's through focusing on that mission that they're able to optimize and do their mission the best. And so we have chains like Bitcoin, which are focused on the problem of currency. But there are chains like Ethereum and other chains that are coming out now, which are focusing on a bigger problem, the problem of computation, the problem of trust at other levels. So then, if we're going to have multiple chains, how do we change from a multi-chain future to a many-chain future to a multi-chain future? What is a multi-chain future different than a many-chain future? And well, ultimately, that is interoperability. When we talk about a multi-chain future, it's not about a bunch of different blockchains existing in the space and then just, them doing their thing independently. It's about them communicating with each other, having standardized protocols, cross-chain messages, and even bridges where they can talk and communicate with one another. It's through the interaction and use of multiple tools together that you actually get real-world value. There you go. And so that is what Polkadot, that's the project I am working on right now, is trying to embody all of these different missions and try to provide a foundation for a multi-chain future. So Polkadot is a network which connects other blockchains together. And again, that vision towards a multi-chain future, it attempts to try to solve three problems which we see everywhere in the blockchain space, even with Bitcoin, even with Ethereum, even with every existing network that is out there. Those are interoperability, the ability for different blockchains and different protocols to communicate with one another. We have scalability, the ability for these blockchains to be able to perform and to be able to serve the needs of 7 billion people and even more around the world, right? And then shared security, the ability to not have to restart every single time you have a new idea or have a new blockchain, having to rebuild the security layers. I think there was a very valid argument that Bitcoin has had now 10 years to build up a strong security layer with all the miners out there. And that when we start new proof of stake tokens or coins, that it is difficult to build and rally a community that can actually provide security to those chains. But so Polkadot provides this method of shared security, where it can itself gain security and provide those same security benefits to all of the constituent chains which build on top of Polkadot. And so when we take a look at kind of the high-level vision of what the Polkadot looks like, we have an image like this. Everything in pink here is actually a blockchain. So you can see in the center, this ring here is representing a blockchain, and that is the Polkadot relay chain. And this blockchain facilitates interchain communication between other different separate blockchains together, which we call parachains. These blockchains can themselves also be bridged to the existing ecosystem, things like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Imagine right now you were to build a new blockchain, and you wanted to be able to communicate and interoperate with the existing world. This is a very complex task because these blockchains were not designed from the ground up for interoperability and communication. So you'll have to design, let's say if you have built a brand new blockchain today, a bridge to Ethereum, a bridge to Solana, a bridge to Bitcoin, a bridge to Bitcoin Cash, Zcash, all these different individual layers because all of these protocols are different. One of the things that Polkadot provides is a shared standardized protocol where we can build a single bridge to the most important chains out there. And as long as you connect to the Polkadot network, you'll have access to those same chains as well. And so really what I'm trying to say here is that Polkadot is also a vision away from competition and towards collaboration. If we look at independent and separate token economies here, we have the unfortunate fact that if you hold a certain token today, you are inherently biased to want that token to succeed and for other tokens which may compete in that space to fail. And this is not the correct path towards innovation. This is like if you think that we have solved the problem today, then unfortunately I just think that you're completely in the wrong space right now. You're in the wrong meeting because we've already done it, right? We are looking to innovate and to move forward. And the way to do that is by collaboration, by working together, not by constantly spending our efforts beating each other down. Again, against maximalism. And so how are we going to get to a future of many blockchains? How are we going to allow innovation, collaboration to happen? Well, everything is about being able to build new blockchains. And one of the things that we built at Parity, one of the core technologies we built is this thing called Substrate. Substrate is a SDK for building new blockchains. And its ultimate goal is to make it very, very simple to take your ideas and put it into a working standardized blockchain. It provides all the layers you might expect of a blockchain. And by the way, blockchains are very complex machines. I mean, they go across, in the computer science world, across all the different stacks of computer science. Things like databases, networking, a transaction queue, consensus engines, and even the actual applications themselves. Substrate provides a framework to easily build all of these things and launch new blockchains. It is extensible, it is modular, and it is open source, which means it's completely free to use. So people who have an idea can absolutely use this technology and build their business on top of it without any payments to anyone. And so you can literally, with this framework, build blockchains in minutes. And so if we take that technology and we look at this vision we have of a multi-chain future, we can see that it's actually really easy to imagine how we're going to be able to connect and interoperate blockchains with a standardized protocol over something like Polkadot and have them work together. The Polkadot blockchain itself is actually built with Substrate. So we are actually dogfooding our own technologies here to be able to build the future. And one of the important things to take away here is that the next generation of blockchains will be designed for the multi-chain future. That if you're looking at the existing technologies today, they did not have in mind, again, interoperability and communication of this multi-chain future. When Bitcoin was made, it didn't have a concept of having other blockchains out there. A lot of the existing protocols, even the new ones coming out now, still don't have in mind about interoperability and multi-chain access. What you have is people trying to solve the single chain problem, trying to solve scaling at a single layer. But here we want to design things for the multi-chain future. And so when we look at what Polkadot and what we're trying to do at Parity, ultimately it is designing this thing. We are against the idea of maximalism. We don't believe that we are done. We believe that what we need to do is continue to facilitate cooperation, collaboration, and interoperability. And Polkadot really, I think, is a vision towards that, and ultimately is kind of what we're trying to do, and the reason why I'm so excited about this space. So, just something to think about. If you're interested in anything I've said today, there are 2 links you should go to. One is Polkadot.network. You can learn more about the protocol we've defined to allow blockchains to communicate and interoperate with each other. And of course, Substrate.io, which is the technology we use to power all of this. And yeah, I guess I have 3 minutes, so I guess I can take a question, or I don't know, anything? Yeah. Yeah, so the question is, what is the difference between Polkadot Parachains and Cosmos blockchains? So I will say that I think Cosmos is actually a very exciting project, and one of the other people in the space who are looking to solve the same kind of multi-chain future problem. It's kind of hard to go into exact details about the differences between them, but I think that the intention is the same, but the implementation details and the fundamental technology decisions are different. I'll give you one example. Cosmos chains have completely independent token economies. So when you launch a new Cosmos chain, you're ultimately using their networking protocol, but all of the token economies which actually secure the chains are independent. This comes with a number of problems. One, all the Cosmos chains, when you launch a new one, you have to build up your own community and your own security on your own, using your own token. Second, there's still competition between the different Cosmos chains because ultimately, because they have independent token economies, the success of one does not necessarily lead to or help the success of others. In fact, you can have Cosmos chains be competing on the same platform for a space. So again, we have this competition mindset. With the introduction of Polkadot, we've actually helped bridge token economies together, and we've helped provide shared security, which will actually provide a more collaborative forward movement. Beyond that, there are some other technical details, which I think is a little bit above what I can go into right now. But the decision of WASM as a execution environment for the runtime of these blockchains is very key for the long-term sustainability and the interoperability of these things, which Cosmos has not defined. But if you want, you can talk to me afterwards. Are there any other questions that we could have? Yes, please. Yeah. So I think that, so the question is, can I speak about Polkadot versus Internet Computer versus Horizon or other things? I think that in general, I can summarize things. The space is very large and very and super crazy out there. I myself, I'm not an expert in everything, but I would say the key mindset for everyone in the space right now is scalability. How can we take this technology, which is working, but scale it up to the 7 billion users out there? And all the different blockchain solutions out there are having their different approaches. The most common thing you've been seeing in the space is taking a normal blockchain and adding additional layers, layer 2s on top of it, to be able to scale that blockchain to be faster and better. But again, it's one thing I want to remind everyone is that, when you design a blockchain to do everything, if you try to have one blockchain do all the different things in the world, it's not going to do anything quite the best. So what we really need to do is define blockchains with certain specializations, special skills. And at that point, it's not about scaling one blockchain up, it's about connecting blockchains together. And so many of the chains out there still live in a siloed world and not this multi-chain world. What Polkadot tries to do, instead of trying to design a multi-chain future after the fact, for example, taking existing layer 1 chains and bridging them, we've designed a layer 0 solution, which by the protocol itself connects blockchains together and has them work together to be able to provide that multi-chain future. So that's the main difference, I think, from our solution to most others. And I think Cosmos is one of the other examples out there, but there are very few which actually are thinking about this multi-chain future. Most are just thinking about scaling an individual blockchain. Okay, well, that's my time. Thank you, everyone. If you have any more questions, feel free to grab me. And yeah, I look forward to seeing the rest of the talks today.